So, no vehicle or machine or object that has ever been truly pioneering has ever remained just an object. Rather more, in the moment of its achievement, it has become an icon. The Concorde is an icon, twice the speed of sound, and yet the passengers inside can lounge like in any other first-class airliner. It's right at the edge of what was technically possible at the time, and yet it's a completely comfortable and luxurious experience inside. Bugatti has been compared to the Concorde. For us at Bugatti, the Veyron is an icon. First production passenger car to reach beyond 400 kilometers per hour, and yet inside it's a completely comfortable and luxurious experience. Bugatti has moved boundaries with this car, time and again, and again, and again, until this present day. My name is Frank Heyl, I'm the Deputy Design Director of Bugatti, and today it is my honor to speak to you a little bit more about how this car came to be, and specifically how design came to be. So it all started for us with the briefing to create a car that could break the 300 mile per hour barrier. And it was immediately apparent that we needed to improve the drag quite significantly. And as you may know, in aerodynamics, there is never that one thing that you find that will save it all. It's rather more many little things that add up to the result. So, having said that, however, there is one element on the car, and that's why this is a key sketch actually. There is one element on the car that does a significant part of the reduction of the drag, which is the long tail. So the elongation of the car. And if you look, this is a section drawing. If you look at the airflow charts, the top view is a section of the Chiron with the airflow over and around the car. And the bottom is the long tail, and what you see here, what happens here is, by elongating the car, the downward sloping and the upward sloping surfaces lead to a smaller tear-off area in the rear. Here you see tear-off area is still a bit larger, here it's a little bit smaller, and that helps to reduce the drag quite significantly. And you can see it here again, this is in red, is the section of the Chiron. And in yellow is the section of the long tail, and we managed to reduce that tear-off area by over 40%, which is significant. Usually in aerodynamics you talk about points and decimal places, and so 40% is quite significant. And that has been achieved by bringing these surfaces together to create a smaller tear-off area that the air can then attach to only a smaller area to drag the car back. That's why we speak about drag. And this has been also partially achieved by reconfiguring the exhaust layout. So usually we have 4 exhausts here in the center. We've shifted them to the outside, stacked them up on top of each other to clear the center part, because the center part in a diffuser is the most effective part. So that's how the long tail idea came into this project. We then invested a significant amount of research, aerodynamic research, into how long exactly would the long tail have to be and how high the tear-off edge would have to be. And with those basic concepts in place from the design side, we then got in touch with our friends at Dallara to actually run simulations and play this ping-pong game of, we create some surfaces, they calculate a CFD analysis, this is computed fluid dynamics, which is like a simulation of a wind tunnel. They feed us back, then we change the surfaces again, still make it look good, and feed it back and forth, and there has been many loops of this to try and achieve a balance here, because in aerodynamics, especially here for this car trying to go beyond 300 miles per hour, it is vital to have the aero balance right. So that means how much downforce do you have on the front, how much downforce do you have on the rear. We didn't want to create too much downforce, not to load too much pressure onto the tires, because the tires are critical at that speed. So it is about just balancing the right amount of downforce. Having said that, at 300 miles an hour, the car naturally, it wants to lift off. So there is quite a significant amount of downforce to make it neutral at 300. So apart from the CFD virtual simulation, we also built a 2.5 scale model that is attached to the roof on ceiling, and it sits on a belt. This is a belt to simulate the road, and the wheels are actually turning, and that is essential in simulating the aerodynamics of this car in the wind tunnel to create the ground effects. The underfloor works in correlation to the street. So a lot of work has gone also into the design of these strakes, we call those, that you don't actually see from the outside, but they do make a big difference actually. And I could go on now for hours and hours of how we optimize this car, but I just pick out one detail, which would be the ducktail, the rear trailing edge here. So also there, many very different variants have been created until we found just that right spot. So countless business trips, wind tunnel sessions, Skype conferences, phone calls, emails, just to get this right, ping pong, back and forth data, until this email reaches me. I'm sitting at my desk, this email comes, and this is my dear friend, Gianna Zinelli, he's head of aerodynamics at Dallara. Adorable chap, absolutely knows what he's talking about. Being Italian has his own way of saying that we were done. So he said, "Ciao Frank, looking at the rear spoiler, CFD result just arrived. My thought was the hand of God, like Maradona in '86. So we were laughing our asses off when we saw that, and that meant, okay, so we're done with the rear end. So that's how the rear end came to be. You see again here, this is we call it F6 Lightning Jet inspired, because the F6 Lightning Jet has a double afterburner that looks like that, so it's kind of inspired by that. To clear up the area, to get the diffuser to work as good as possible, because as you may know in aerodynamics, every bit of downforce that you create by using a wing will also make you pay for that with drag. So we didn't want drag on this car. So our goal was to have the wing in top speed mode for the record run, have the wing all the way in, to have the air attach. We call this laminar airflow, have the air attached to the body for as long as possible and just tear off at a very precise edge here, which is this ducktail spoiler. Coming around to the front, our goal was to create a little bit more aggressive look in the front, so it's the same headlights to preserve the Chiron identity, and yet the eyebrows stand a little bit different. And you have these lines to sort of counterbalance and give the car that stance and aggressiveness in the front. So usually on the front, you want to pull out the front splitter for as long as you can to create downforce. But here it was the opposite. We actually pushed it in a little bit and created a very round section underneath to attach the air to the underfloor as well. Don't have any lift-offs there. So, but we pulled the corners out, and here you can actually look through those corners. It's a very fragmented feature. It is the killer feature of the car though, because those two blades direct the air around to the side, which is something that we learned in the development of the Chiron. If you try to create a car to go that speed, that front corner is vital, because what you mess up here on the front, you can never recover on the side or on the rear. And that's why the managing of the airflow at that corner is really vital, because what the air does, if the air hits that front at 300 miles an hour, it basically bounces off. And that means you create a huge drag area here, which is further fueled by the rotation of the front wheel. And that will just pull the car back and hold it back and create a huge drag. On top of that, it also messes up the airflow into the side radiators here, and then you get a cooling problem. So we developed a kind of duct here, because you have a lot of pressure on the front, positive pressure, and you have a negative pressure on the side. So we connect those two pressure areas by that duct, where air can actually flow through and reattach the rest of the airflow onto the body side. And that's how that area is being minimized. Countless hours of simulation have gone into finding just the right section. This is the red level here is a section drawing through that. And as I stated earlier on in aerodynamics, it's about little incremental steps to find the right balance. So here we're trying to reduce the blue area. Blue, there's a pressure map. Blue is negative pressure. We try to make this as small as possible. So there you see it's already it's a little step. If I draw sections through here, it is about controlling exactly that profile. How curved is it? How far is it away from the main volume? How is the main volume curved? Just to attach the airflow to the side of the car, which is vital at 300 miles per hour. So this is how the front sort of came to be. We have the angry look on expression, more aggressive. And we have these two blades sort of counterbalancing, giving it the stance, the presence that we wanted to have the car on the road. Another detailed feature is the front wheel wells. You get a lot of pressure buildup in the front wheel wells from the rotation of the tire, but also from the radiators venting and evacuating into the front wheel well. So we need to relieve the pressure somewhere. Usually we do that on the Chiron down here. Now we have additional elements on the top with these 9 holes, sort of rocket launcher inspired, if I may say so. And then you have the body side kind of rolling in like this, creating this cool feature on the wheel arch. So that's how that came to be. Also another, again, trying to reduce that blue area. So I've stated before, everybody that has maybe seen the video or not may know this. It's not only about design or aerodynamics, or only about the engine, or only about the tires. It's to get everything together and working in one car, which is the real challenge here. And that is what we got right on the 2nd of August for Andy to drive 304 miles.
Wow, guys, what a fantastic car. Technician, grazie, merci. I can't thank you enough.
So now you have a bit of a more insight of, at least from design side of the things, how much effort it took just to create this moment with Andy cheering and being happy about the record. And maybe just to wrap this up, why is the car painted like that? Our record cars in recent years have been visible carbon fiber plus the orange. So the orange we thought was really cool. We wanted to keep that, and also for our customers who have these cars in their collections to have the two next to each other would be nice. So it's a new, more punchy hue of orange that we have on the new car. Plus the monochromatic badge with the black enamel and silver makes the record car. And in that sense, we hope that we have created another icon, but time will tell. So thank you very much for your attention, and that's the end of my speech. Thank you very much.